Are you afraid of skinwalkers? These eerie creatures, known in Navajo as Lushi, meaning with it he goes on all fours, are said to stalk hikers and unsuspecting passerbys in the American Southwest. I've even had nightmares about them myself, yet they remain one of my favorite cryptids and horror motifs, often described as shape-shifting witches or demons. Skinwalkers dwell in the arid deserts of Arizona and New Mexico. Some legends claim they can mimic the voice and form of their victims, especially if they consume their skin. And this old legend, a modern twist, popularized by the internet. Terrible dark tales that we will shed some light on. If you are even a little bit interested in skinwalkers, you likely know they originate from Navajo culture and legends. But that's just the beginning of this story. For generations, the Navajo people have guarded these stories, viewing them as sacred and not to be shared lightly with outsiders. Recently, however, some tribal members have begun sharing insights, offering glimpses into these mysterious tales. While much of the information available is a mix of anecdotal accounts and internet research, it's essential to approach it with respect for the culture it represents. In Navajo society, medicine men and women, highly respected shamans, serve as herbal caretakers and spiritual guides. Their noble calling aligns with the tribe's deep-rooted values of harmony, balance, and beauty. Yet, on very rare occasions, some of these healers choose a darker path, one steeped in immoral deeds, twisted pacts with malevolent forces, shrouded in secrecy and the shadows of the night. Becoming a skinwalker isn't something one stumbles upon by accident. It is a deliberate and dark choice. According to the legends, one must commit a heinous act, the murder of a close family member, to initiate the transformation, followed by a series of forbidden rituals. Such actions are believed to fracture a person's soul, stripping away their humanity and allowing them to shapeshift into predatory animals, communicate telepathically, and wield other paranormal abilities. There are some tales where shamans became skinwalkers to defend their people against American colonizers. However, this interpretation seems more like a modern addition, perhaps aiming to add a heroic twist to an otherwise grim legend. You will see why later on in the video. Interestingly, these entities are thought to possess a deep understanding of human psychology, using fear and manipulation to their advantage. They might scratch at windows, mimic the voices of loved ones, or create eerie noises to lure people into the darkness. Those who encounter them risk being cursed, falling ill, and slowly wasting away. This chilling narrative of the skinwalker echoes another infamous legend: the stories of witches across the Christian world. You can either check my Patreon out, click the like button, subscribe and share the video for more, or I will bitmash 10,000 black cats until they can't meow no more. Your choice, and thank you for watching. These witch stories bear striking resemblance to the legend of the Lushi, often rooted in the church's disdain for paganism and fear of the unknown. Many pagan practices were labeled as witchcraft. Driven by hysteria and ignorance, people embarked on irrational witch hunts, persecuting individuals who often had no ties with the devil. It's reminiscent of the Salem witch trials or the satanic panic of 20th century America, though far more hardcore and bloody. However, it's important to note that the intensity and prevalence of witch persecutions varied across Europe and Eastern Europe. For example, the practice of herbal medicine and traditional healing persisted as pagan beliefs remained intertwined with local customs. This allows us to explore a more nuanced understanding of the archetypal witch. While skinwalkers in Navajo lore are typically male, the European witch hunts targeted women, highlighting cultural differences in how societies project fears onto others. Yet, there exists a figure who embodies the quintessential evil witch. That's the Baba Yaga, an old hag who flies through the forest in a mortar, steering with a pestle, and lives deep in the woods in a hut perched atop a chicken's leg. As someone with Slavic roots, even uttering her name sends a slight chill down my spine. Perhaps that's similar to why speaking of skinwalkers is considered taboo among the Navajo. According to the legend, Baba Yaga snatches lost children, fries them, and eats them. However, in some tales, she appears as a helper, a wise old woman who aids the hero on their quest. This duality isn't as widely recognized though, with Baba Yaga predominantly depicted as a malevolent force. Stories like hers help us understand the global portrayal of dark magic practitioners. Much like skinwalkers, these witches are said to commit heinous acts that would make you sick if I were to describe them here. Imagine walking through the dense European woods in the 16th century. The trees tower above you, their canopies casting deep shadows that dance with the fading light. You notice things out of place. Sticks arranged in peculiar patterns, stones laid out in some sort of formations. Suddenly, the forest grows eerily still. Not a single sound can be heard. Perhaps it's your mind playing tricks, but you see wisps of smoke rising nearby. Disoriented and in need of help, you follow the smoke, and a woman appears, either strikingly beautiful and gentle or old and rugged, but as she gazes upon you, you know you're fucked. These encounters, filled with uncertainty and fear, are echoed in stories across the world and are always woven with the threads of dark magic. When exploring the occult, it's easy to encounter the concepts of the left-handed and right-handed paths. Although these terms were coined in the late 19th century, the underlying motive of choosing between two moral directions has existed for millennia, as evident in the legend of the Yin Old Lucy. These paths symbolize opposing approaches to magical practices, or even life itself, within cultures that distinctly separate morality from immorality. At a pivotal moment, the practitioner must choose a side in the eternal struggle between good and evil. The right-handed path emphasizes ethics, selflessness, and alignment with communal or divine laws. In contrast, the left-handed path focuses on self-interest, personal power, and even achieving godhood. This is crucial to grasp the essence of skinwalkers and similar figures around the world. It underscores the deliberate choice to abandon communal harmony in favor of personal gain, no matter the cost. That's why I find it unlikely that anyone became a skinwalker to defend their tribe. The transformation requires a complete surrender to malevolence, leaving no room for noble intentions. They represent the embodiment of pure evil in Native American lore. Whether you believe in magic or not, these stories stories transcend mere legend. They serve as cautionary tales about the consequences of breaking social norms, disrupting communal harmony, and succumbing to selfish desires. The transformation isn't just into an animal, but into something far worse, a being so wretched that only oblivion may give you peace. Such narratives have long been used to warn children against the dangers lurking in the unknown and to teach the importance of moral integrity. It's fascinating to observe the parallels between such foreign cultures like those of the Navajo and European societies, each using similar archetypes to convey profound truths. However, perhaps there is more to these tales than moral teachings. The very taboo surrounding the subject of skinwalkers raises questions. Why are such critical teachings cloaked in secrecy? Why were they guarded so badly despite their potential lessons? Maybe the answers lie in our modern portrayal of these beings. There is an unsettling abundance of tales about strange creatures that share some common threads. Numerous reported sightings without solid scientific evidence, paranormal abilities, and odd circumstances when encountered. These beings inhabit the gray area between myth and reality, their mysterious abilities defying logical explanation. In recent times, attempts to rationalize these legends have given rise to fields like cryptozoology, though it's important to note it is often dismissed by mainstream science as a pseudoscience. Creatures like the Loch Ness Monster, the Sasquatch, and of course skinwalkers find a home here. As stories evolve, especially in our modern era, the lore surrounding cryptids becomes ever more elaborate. Skinwalkers, in particular, have drifted from their indigenous roots, morphing into more abstract and elusive figures. No longer confined to transforming into predatory animals, today's skinwalkers are said to take on a multitude of forms. Tales of deer behaving unnaturally, standing on hind legs, unafraid of humans, pets acting strangely, and even people whose appearance is far off the typical human. Many campfire stories follow a familiar pattern. Protagonists venture into the woods, and as night falls, the world around them shifts into something unrecognizable. Eerie noises, chilling silences, and twisted figures lurking just out of sight. As the unsettling presence grows closer, nature itself seems to react. The air grows colder, and there is a faint metallic taste of fear. Suddenly, voices call out for help, but they aren't quite right. Someone tries to respond only to be lured deeper into the unknown. Then, in the heart of the horror, a creature appears, twisted, pale as death with long bony limbs, hairless and humanoid, a distorted version of the skinwalker from the original legends. In modern pop culture, I believe the skinwalker persists not just as a legend, but as a symbol, a reality of sorts. A manifestation of the primal fears that have haunted us for centuries. They exist in our nightmares and in those fleeting moments when we sense a presence that isn't there. Out of fear, our brains might attach their image to unexplainable phenomena in wooded settings, or convince us they really are there, and maybe allow us to see even more. The skinwalker as a living being most likely doesn't exist, as supported by their classification under cryptids, but they do exist as a symbol at least. These tales have always carried a deeper wisdom. The temptation to sacrifice one's humanity for power and freedom is alluring, but the legends warn us of the cost. You may gain the world, but lose yourself entirely. So, the next time you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, or you catch a shadow moving in the corner of your eye, take a moment, check twice, just to make sure it really is your imagination.